5 seconds. All right, everybody. So I am live with Styx. Styx is a based content creator, talks about spirituality, all that. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, though. I'll give you a chance to kind of introduce yourself and who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Styx. You guys may also know me as Ori. I've been making content since around 2018. Started off with TikTok, then moved to YouTube, then started moving to Twitch. Most of my content is around spirituality, esoteric. Around 2023, it started to get really deeper into numerology after I joined GG33. And now I'm at the point now where it's just like I'm starting to see that people are really living a sugar-coated life full of lies. After meeting Gary and meeting GG33 and learning more about like the numerology, learning more about personality types, learning more about people's characteristics, I started to realize a lot of people are living a life of a lie. So that really gave me a purpose to make this content.
That's valid. And then I just saw recently you went on Fresh and Fit, which is like a huge podcast, like male self-improvement. I've been watching them for a while. How did you get on Fresh and Fit? And then I have a follow-up question after that.
So I mean, Fresh and Fit, they have this assistant guy who, always says, DM him, hit him up. I had my boy David from GG33. He came in and was like, you know what, hey, why don't you go on this podcast? Why don't you come and talk about this? Why don't you kind of show people what you know and, make a wave? So that's how it happened.
Absolutely. And you certainly made a wave on there for sure. A lot of people saw that podcast and they're wondering, like, are you actually red pilled? They're like, this chick, she doesn't seem like the type that would be kind of red pilled, but she's saying a lot of facts on this podcast. You cooked that chick that was sitting next to Jack Doherty, I saw. So a lot of people are curious, like, are you really red pill? And if so, to what extent?
I mean, you see the red light. All I can say is this red pill community actually needs people who are going to sit here and tell the truth and not live a double faced life. Like, what's his name? Zherka? That nigga literally is out here talking about preaching esoteric, preaching a red pill life, but then he fucks the type of girls that I just went at on fucking OnlyFans. So my thing is, if we're really gonna have a red pill community, we need people who's gonna come in here and actually spit some fucking truth.
Do you have beef with Zherka?
Listen, man. At this point, maybe, because I have beef with anybody that comes on the internet and pretends to be one way, but isn't that way at all, or tries to preach a way of living and doesn't live that life at all. So all you're doing is literally leading people astray with a fake lifestyle.
I mean, I would say, like, I've talked to Zherka before. I'd say he seems like a pretty down-to-earth guy. And also, like, a lot of his esoteric content, kind of talking about psychology. Like, honestly, listening to Zherka's kind of streams has built my mindset, like, in a pretty positive way.
I mean, listen, first of all I can say is that Zherka was working with GG33 at one point, and I got to see what actually was happening in those Airbnbs and how he couldn't even fucking do the job for the psychology class. Like, you're trying to teach psychology and you can't even be consistent with it. You can't even feed people the value. And then everything you're talking about is just a bunch of speculation. The moment that he got into numerology, that's when maybe he had a little bit of substance with it. That's really my point. You
Fair
over here
enough.
fucking whores and going on to kids, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds. Come on, man. Let's be for real. That's nothing masculine. It's childish.
Yeah, I
By
mean,
the way,
that's fair.
happy birthday, Zherka.
Yeah. Oh my, that's so crazy. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, no, it's his birthday. I totally forgot about that. Jeez, so we're out here and you're beefing Zerk on his birthday. That's wild. But I mean, no, that's kind of fair. Like, I can see that. There's certain things about Zerk. It's kind of like, bro, why are you doing that? Like, you have such a good message, and then you'll be out here like kind of some degenerate type of stuff. It's like it almost kind of dilutes like a lot of the positivity. But I think he has a lot of potential, honestly, and I think he can reach a lot of people in a very good way. But who knows? So you mentioned numerology. Is this something that
Yeah.
you're like actually into? Is this something that you're devoted to? Something that you like genuinely fully believe in?
Oh, listen, numerology has completely changed my life, and I'm not saying that to just promote it or anything. Like, I'm born the year of the cat, and cats are the most like we literally speculate everything. We don't just trust everything. Cats, we're always observing you. So it took me some time to actually really feel for it and believe it, but Gary came down to Miami. He met with me, heard my birthday, and was like, yo, I want to meet with you. And then once I started to talk to him, he gave me a reading. And the first thing he said was, mind you, this is first time meeting me. The first thing he said was, did you come from a broken home? Your birthday says that you went through a divorce, like your family. And I'm like, what the fuck? How the
Dang.
fuck can you know that from my birthday? And at that point, I'm like, nah. So when he came to Miami, everything changed, and I've been going really hard for it with it for the past 2 years. And what I can say is, when it found me, I was going through a very rough patch, and it helped me to understand why I was going through a rough patch. But then it allowed me to make moves on a very timely basis, because guess what? We all talk about esoteric and we also talk about spirituality, but the main thing that I can say is that everything has to be in divine timing. You can have the greatest idea, you can have the greatest movement, but everything is in divine timing. And the way that I knew numerology was legit was because he wasn't telling me what was to come.
Mhm.
It's almost like he was able to explain to me why what happened in my past happened. And it helped me to also confirm things that I've thought about, but maybe didn't know that that was the exact truth. So that's really where people have to really, tap in, like go back in your past, use the numerology, and just see how everything is on point, even when you weren't aware of it.
Yeah, that's scary. Like I do numerology kind of on my friends. I like get their life path, and like there's only been one time where it was not accurate. All the other times, like to a T. So I'm kind of
Mhm.
curious. What's your life path number?
I'm a 7 life path.
7.
Yeah,
And
born on a 5 day.
yeah, and you feel that that fits you really well.
Oh yeah. Like, again, we talking about red pill, and you're talking about me calling out Zherka. One thing about sevens cannot take small talk, sevens cannot take stupidity, sevens cannot take superficiality. So me being a 7, I feel like it's straight to the T, because I'm online teaching. 7 is the number of the genius, 7 is the number of the
Mhm.
teacher, the loner. And I
Yeah.
really do have a short fuse for stupidity or being around people for too long.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough, honestly. Yeah, a lot of numerology makes a lot of sense. Like for me personally, I'm a 33 life path, and like ever
Oh,
since I've been
nice.
like ever since I've been a youngin, I've been like wanting to get on the social media stuff. Been doing this for like 5 years now, so that kind of does correlate. And then born on the 14th too, so I love
Mm-hmm.
traveling. Like that's one of my favorite things in the world. I want to travel to Miami to do content, so that's literally my
Got to.
numerology right there.
Can't stay still.
Yeah, it's crazy. What do you think to what would you say to people though that will say like numerology is satanic? Because like I have a large religious audience and I've been looking into
Mhm.
religion myself, and a lot of them will be like, yeah, well that's like you're worshiping numbers, like you shouldn't worship numbers, and they'll say that's like satanic or something. What do you say to that?
I mean, it's not that we worship numbers. It's almost like getting really good at using a certain tool. Most people are very based on physical, like physicality, your body. My body needs to be fit. My body needs to be this. You can say almost then, are you worshiping your body? And then the thing with numerology is numbers are used in everything.
Mhm.
Money, systems, measurements, they're symbols. Like, even in every religious book, the pages are numbered, or somebody's a certain age, everybody has a birthday. So it's like, how can we worship something that is, number one, we don't really consider it a deity, we don't consider it a god, but we consider it a way that God talks to us. God
Mhm.
talks to us in dreams and languages. So my thing is, if I started to try to understand my dreams, would that mean I'm worshiping my dreams? So it's just a
Yeah.
tool, and one of the many ways that we're able to receive, what I'm saying, symbols and messages.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I heard Zherka say it best. Like numerology is just like God's language. Like God speaks to us in numbers. And I'm not sure about you, but every single day I'll see 111 and 1111 at least like 3 to 5 times a day. Like I'm not
Hmm.
sure if you kind of notice the same if you're seeing like
Yeah.
repeating numbers. Do you know what that means? Because I've heard it like explained in kind of like different ways and stuff. But do you know what that means if I'm kind of like in a growth period of my life and I'm seeing 1111 everywhere?
So when it comes to the number 11, I like to tell people, there's so many different ways to look at a number. You could either look at it as 11, 11, or you could look at it as 11 plus 11, which is 22. And you say, if you're seeing this in a part of your life where you're developing, 22 is a master number. So it's the number of the master builder or the master destroyer. So if you're in a period of your life where you're trying to elevate yourself and you're seeing 11, 11 or 22, that may mean that you're building an aspect of yourself, or you're destroying an aspect. And sometimes you need to destroy to build. So for example, if
Absolutely.
you're seeing If you're saying 111, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, maybe it's time for you to start communicating more and being a leader. So it all depends on what's going on in your life, what's your life path number, and what this number means. And again, always add it up also. I think when I first started getting into numerology, everything was around 111, 222, 333, 444. And I think also that's because everybody was on that base frequency. But as you start to get deeper in learning the numbers start to change what you see. You no longer really start seeing much of 111, but you start seeing 11, 33,
Mhm.
44, 22, 57. And maybe you're born on the 22nd, so you keep seeing 22. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So that's how this kind of it's all different frequencies of thought.
Mhm. Absolutely. What do you think too about like Chinese astrology? Because Gary was telling me I'm in my enemy year apparently right now. This is a snake year. I'm born in the year of the pig. So this is my enemy year. However, I feel like things have been going pretty well for me. Like in my personal life, in my career, like social media, things have just been going really good. So what do you think about that? And what do you think I should be doing for my enemy year?
I think you need to work the internet as much as possible.
Mhm.
Um, I think also another good thing is, that 33 is also still a 6. So in this year, you may want to be more support, give more this year. Also, the snake frequency is the closest to 33, so I think maybe that could also be helping you, because you being a 33 and it's a snake year. 33 is really connected to the snake energy.
Mhm.
Another thing I would say too is like, just don't try to create too many big waves, meaning like don't start new things, because if you usually have control of the wave in any other year, you're gonna find that this year the wave just completely goes out of, like, you have no control over it. So I would just say focus on the internet, but don't start nothing new. Don't get no new apartment. Don't get no new car. Like, don't do
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah, that's funny because I was thinking about trying to go to Miami this year to like meet a couple people, but you're saying like maybe because Gary always says that you should lay low in your enemy year, but like to me, that's like why would I waste a year of my life like not doing anything? Like that's my
I mean,
mindset on it.
I wouldn't think like that, because it's almost like impulsiveness. You know what I'm saying? That's like, you have to understand, as you get older also, patience is key. And you could literally be aggressive right now, and every bit of energy you use to do something gets turned on you. At that point, was it worth it? And then you're talking about going to Miami. Miami's in a snake state,
Yeah.
you know? So that's like, but that's usually how most people get caught up on their enemy year. It's like, oh, but I got to, like, I have to have it right now. And it's like divine timing, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. You never want to rush anything or else you're gonna run yourself into a corner. Yeah.
It's like, think about it like this, like 48 laws of power.
Mhm.
Let's say this is all a competition pool, right? And some of these people have numerology and they understand the timing of things. You're not even competition, because you're going against yourself and your own timing. Your competition doesn't even need to try to take you out, because you're taking yourself out.
Mhm.
So
That's a
that's
really
the
good
key. But that's
analogy.
the key. That's the key between patience. It's like those higher ups are like, we don't even have to worry about them. They're not even patient enough to play the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. And who do you think like created numerology? Like, do you believe in a god? Because, like I said, I believe that numerology is kind of the language of God. Do you believe in a god? As Gary would say, I guess a prime creator.
Yes, I believe in a most high. I believe in a prime creator. I believe that this prime creator is so intelligent that it just has many languages. I mean, we're humans and we have many languages, and we've even created languages before. So if we're able to create a language, if we are a reflection of God and the prime creator, and we are able to also create a language for ourselves, what makes you think that this didn't come from the main creator?
Hmm.
And a lot of our languages are created from that foundation of the alphabets and the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see how anybody could be an atheist with all this evidence. Like, you go for a walk outside and you see like trees. Like, trees in itself prove God to
Mm-hmm.
me. Like, I see God through trees and nature. So I don't
It
know. I don't know how you could be an atheist and not kill yourself. Like, that's so depressing.
and it's so interesting too, because every creation is like also within us, because if you look at those trees and you look at the stems and you look at the veins, we literally have veins. Like we're all connected to everything. Like everything that's created here, we're all made of the same essence. So
Mhm.
if something exists in this realm right now, you can't try to like separate yourself from it, because that very thing, also exists within you. Just like people try to get upset at evil and negativity and things like that. And I know that Gary has a belief that we are in the third dimension, so it's a lot of crime. And I believe that, but I also believe that we need a negative energy in order for a positive energy to even exist.
Mhm.
There is no need for the light without darkness. I wouldn't have a purpose if it wasn't for ignorant people who are misspreading information like Zherka. I wouldn't have a
Like
purpose
Zherka.
for real. Like he's one of the reasons. Like it's all negativity and misinformation and ignorance and degeneracy. That's my purpose, to fight against that. So what I'm saying is that if it wasn't for those degenerates and negative people, you wouldn't have
Mhm.
people of true authenticity, information, and enlightenment. We wouldn't have a purpose without it.
Are you grouping Zherka in though with those people that are like ignorant degenerates? Because I wouldn't group Zherka in there. I'd say I wouldn't put him in that group.
Really?
Yeah, Zherka's a G, bro.
Over
Zherka's changed a lot of people's lives.
Sexualization. Like if you are trying to teach men, like I like, listen, I don't agree with everything with Myron, but at least I can say that if Myron had a son, I wouldn't see that son going around fucking messing around with 17-year-olds and over sexualizing himself and messing around with OnlyFans girls. There's a reason why the OnlyFans clip went viral, because you guys are like, finally, OnlyFans girls are hearing what they need to hear. But then it's one of your own that's entertaining them. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's my point.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's due to the coke, though. I don't think that's really him.
Exactly. Do we really want a cokehead leading us, bro?
Jeez, Zherka's catching strays today, man.
Like, come
I can't even
on.
get a break on his birthday. Damn. Thought his enemy year ended last year. What the hell? We got a comment here says, "Nah, I'd say Zherka changed my life in 2023." Yeah, I'd say he's had an overall good impact, but I definitely see your point though. Like, he has
20,
entertained a lot of
but
bullcrap.
you know what's funny? 2023, who was managing him?
Gary, I think, right?
There you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
yeah, yeah. No, Gary's a G too. How'd you meet Gary, by the way?
I had a friend who was in numerology, and I was working with some people, some higher up people, and something ended up shifting in my life. Like I ended up getting fired or something like that, and my friend was there alongside me the whole time. And he was like, you're a 7 life path, you're this, you're that. And at that point, I'm like, what does this mean? Like, I'm trying to get some money. Like, what does mean, bro? And then when I go through some fucked up shit, he's like, well, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of knew that this was gonna happen because I was trying to lay low from that person, and you're in a year of this. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then he's like, okay, you got to see this person. Just start reading this guy's tweets. His name is Gary, and then I saw Gary started making some tweets about how he was looking for influencers, people who had over 500 thousand followers or whatever. And I was like, shit, maybe this is my way to be able to learn more numerology. So when he met up with me, he got on the phone with me. I gave him my birthday, and he was like, no, I need to meet you. And I'm like, shit, what the fuck does this mean? Like, my friend is like, damn, what the fuck that mean? So we meet up with him in Miami, and he pulls me over to the side, and he's like, listen, I need you to help me with numerology. We need people to know what's going on. I need you to go hard on TikTok. This shit's going to blow up. Mark my words. Watch what I say. By the end of fucking 2023, he's almost at 1 million followers on TikTok. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
you had nothing. You had 0 followers. Now you're fucking 900K. So he sat me down one day and was just like, listen, I looked at your birthday. You're gonna have a cult-like fan base. You're gonna be rich, and this is why I picked you. And I'm like, shit, let's go then. So then from that point on, I just took it really serious, because when somebody shows you that much proof, so then I started doing readings for other people, and I was scaring myself. I'm like, how the fuck do it? Like, I know I'm adding it up, but like, how the fuck does this shit work like this?
Yeah. That's crazy. So Gary kind of recruited you to like promote numerology, I guess, and use your platform.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Gary is definitely blown up for sure. Do you predict that he's gonna like blow up even more in the snake year? Because he was talking, I think, on my podcast. He's like, you're gonna be playing this clip back again in a couple of years, and numerology is gonna be bigger than any religion in the planet. He literally said that to me on my podcast with him. So, what do you think first about that prediction, and second, do you think he's gonna pop off this year?
First of all, what I would say is I've noticed, and this is also for your 33 energy, like really pay attention because I the reason why Gary picked me is because I have lots of 33 energy that you guys will have to join GG33 Gold to find out about. But my father was also a 33 life path. So most people will wonder why, as a 7 life path, are you able to speak so well? You know what I'm saying? I give you a hint. I was born 3:30 p.m. My mom is a double 11. My father's a 33-3. So that's another thing. Your parents can impact your birthday also. So one thing I say, dealing with 33 energy, you have to understand that you will always be ahead of the curve and you will be so disliked when you're first saying it. And you have to have a strong enough energy and a strong enough sense of self about yourself that no matter what someone says, in the early stages of them not understanding, you know what you're doing and you know that you're going to pop off. So, do I believe him? Yes, I believe him because we're in an age of Aquarius and people are already starting to abandon their religions a little bit or at least question them. And I wouldn't say abandon almost like I mean a lot of people are switching from Christianity to Islam or you know what I'm saying? So this is an example of people asking themselves like what is the truth? You know, and I feel like people are going to continuously see the truth amongst all religions and see the truth that lies with between all of them, and we'll start to see, okay, what are the facades that certain people are telling me for control, you know? And the thing about numerology is numerology will also show you which of these religions are trying to control you and which religions are actually for you based off of the names, you know, Elohim, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all different codes. You know, Bible has lie in it, for example. But we
Yeah.
all knew that had some type of, you know what I'm saying? So of course, and do I think he's gonna blow up big in 2025? Listen, he's in an 8 year. And
Yeah.
the last two numbers of the 2025 is 25, is 7. He's born on a 7 day. Come on, man. Like, he's in an 8 year right now. Like, of course. He started
Yeah.
off the year at the inauguration. That's the
Yeah.
perfect way to set off your 8 year.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy what you say too about your parents influencing your energy, and that's wild that your dad's a
Mm.
33. Because my dad's an 11 and my mom's an 8. So I kind of got like
Mm.
a good combo. Like I got an
Yeah, you
11,
do.
33, 8, 5. Like I'm chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a Gary tweet saying like 5s and 11s are kind of like the easiest numbers to be possessed. What does he mean by that, do you think?
Well, first thing I would say is 5s can easily be possessed through sexual energy, sexual taking in sexual things, which again is why, hence, I said the OnlyFans thing. I'm in a 5 year right now.
Me
You
too.
get what I'm saying? So exactly. So my thing is 5s can easily be possessed because 5s are always triggered and attacked sexually. Like it's almost like most 5s tend to be strippers or OnlyFans girls, and we all know that they can be possessed. You know, something I would say about 11s, I think. Well, here's what I'll say: 11s are always attacked by energy vampires. Like 11s are always attacked. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Because they're so emotional, right? So it's like entities, I guess, can feed off that emotion. Yeah. I kind of
Yeah.
see the 11 in my dad sometimes too, and I could almost like feel it in myself. It's like impossible to describe, but I can almost just like see that energy. I'd be like, oh yeah, he's an 11. Like there'll
Mm-hmm.
be times like something will happen, be like, yeah, that's an 11 right there.
Yep.
But
Yep. Them
I don't
11s
really
and
know
their
how to,
emotions.
yeah, I don't really know how to explain it though. What do you think about like shockers and stuff? Because sometimes I feel like even on these podcasts, like there's like a little bit of a block. Like I feel like even in my throat chakra is like a little bit like
Mm,
closed or something. Like I just even
I
right now, I
feel
just feel like
you.
a close in my throat. I don't know if like that's anxiety or whatever, but I don't know if that's like an attack on the 33 or what.
I would say sometimes it's also just the day that you
Yeah.
do things. Like I noticed that on 7 days, you could have like today's a 7 day. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So on 7 days, you may feel a block within your communication, or it feels like no matter how hard you try to explain something, it's like you cannot hit the target of your description. That's
Mhm.
like 7 energy, because 7 is the opposite of communication. 7 is more so like I'm thinking. And
Mhm.
then 3 is the number of communication. So if you find yourself on a 3-day or an 11-day, you'll feel like, sheesh, I can, everything is just coming to me like this. So I would just
Mhm.
say it could be the day.
Yeah. I feel that because even on 3 days, like I just talk a lot better, and I just feel like it's more fluent and just like smooth, and
Hmm.
I'm not really thinking about it. So
Yeah.
absolutely. What's like kind of the best way I could leverage my 33, and what's like the biggest like obstacle I'd have? Because I'm pretty sure like Gary or somebody said like the Matrix like hates 33s or something. Like there's
Hmm.
33s throughout all of history have always had like a lot of ops. Like they've always had a lot of enemies.
um, I would say the best thing for you to do. I got you. It's like I have so many thoughts and I'm trying to pick. It's like I have to pick which one.
Yeah.
So I would say the best thing for 33s is to, number one, you have to know that people will. I I'll start off easy. They'll either love you or hate you. Okay.
Mm,
So when you walk in a room, you're not to walk into the room, and I teach this in my magnetism class. You're not to walk into the room seeking their approval, especially as a 33. 30 is the number. 33 is the number of influence. So
mm,
if you're trying to become more influential, you're not trying to be liked by people, you're trying to challenge people. You're trying to challenge, not challenge them in a verbal way, but almost challenge the way that they view things. You get what I'm saying? And if you're able to challenge the way somebody views something, then you know that you're able to influence them. Another thing I would say too is, when you know something, stick to it, even if the world disagrees with it, because a lot of times the world will 100% disagree with everything you're trying to do in the beginning of it, because it's just you're ahead of the curve. It's almost like the trend, like first they laugh, then they copy. That's literally
mm,
like a quote that I would say for 33s. Like people, when, for example, XXXTentacion, 33 Life Path,
mm.
people were like almost like judging him and laughing at him and thinking that he was corny in the beginning. And then a whole wave of people like him tried to come on and get famous the same way. So first they laugh, then they copy.
Yeah, holy smokes. That's like a lot to take in right there. I feel like that's so hard to like go against the world though and like really stand like 10 toes down on like what you believe in. But
But then when they follow you, excuse me, then when they follow you, you're the creator of a trend. So
mhm,
everybody that joins that trend afterwards, you take on that energy. So you're forever going to be leveraged. That's the difference between those who are remembered and those who are not. They stood on something and they did something before anybody else did. Michael Jackson, I wouldn't say that he's a 33 life path, but he's an example of someone who created a trend or started something and broke through and received a lot of backlash. Thriller had a lot of backlash at first because they thought it was demonic,
yeah,
but he was the
absolutely.
first person to create like a movie like music video. So if you're able to take on hate, then you'll do great.
Yeah. I just remember kind of being more conservative before it was like popular. Like I'd listen to like conservative podcasts. I was like based, as you would say, before it
Mhm.
became cool to be based. But I didn't really talk about like politics that much back then because I was kind of younger. I didn't really care that much, but I just remember like
Mhm.
thinking more based. But everything was so liberal. All my friends were so liberal, and I just didn't really say anything. But now I guess I was ahead of the curve because now it is popular.
Yep.
It's a cool thing to be like a conservative and to be based now.
That's a very 33 experience that you just had.
Yeah,
Because guess
absolutely.
what? You're going to receive so many more inklings of like things that you want to believe in or places that you want to go. But
Mhm,
because it's such a small road, you'll be like, why am I wasting my time? And why, you don't even realize that that's your 33 talking to you right there.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. When did you become based? Like, when did you kind of get into spirituality? What was it, I guess, that brought you down this kind of path of being like such a critical thinker and free thinker?
X, XXX
Yeah.
Tentacion. I was playing basketball. I was headed to college. Another thing too is my father passed away in my enemy year. So that's the death
Oh,
code. My father passed away in my enemy year, 2017, and then 6 months later, X passed away. So that's 233 life paths in my life that had passed away within 6 months. And my father and X's family were actually connected. So it was almost like an energetic, like an enemy year. I mean, year and year, enemy year. This is around the time where a big shift came into my life, and I started to ask myself, like, what am I doing? But that's what 233s will do to you. I was just like, what am I doing? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, after X passed away, I felt like this gut wrenching feeling, like that solar plexus feeling of like, okay, what are you gonna do? And then from that point on, I didn't know exactly what my purpose was when it came to it. I was just like, you know what? I just need to talk about this shit because
Mhm.
a lot of people are going through shit and this shit is real.
Mhm. You mentioned that your dad was connected somehow to X's family. How's that?
Man, so he had a woman that he was talking to that was ex's mom's one of ex's mom's best friends. So she's like a
Wow.
family friend. She when he passed away, she actually ended up getting me to meet the family by taking me to the album release party. So at the time when I was getting into X, I didn't know that. I found that out after I got into X. So then it just kind of confirmed more of what I was doing because I'm like, damn, my father passed away. I got into music really heavy. And now like I'm really getting into X. And now all of a sudden this lady who's friends with X's family is coming to me like, hey, I'm here with X's family right now and we're playing some of your music to them and we're talking to them right now. And I'm like, what the fuck? This must mean something.
Wow.
So 233. So, you know.
Holy smoke. So did you get to meet like X's mom and dad and all that?
I didn't get to meet his dad, but I got to meet the mom at the what is it, Skins? Was it Skins?
Mm, I'm not
It was
sure.
the one that was in Miami and
Mhm.
Wynwood.
That's so cool. I think I saw somewhere like Gary did a podcast with X's mom. Did you set that up?
No, I didn't set that up, but even then, like the day that he did that, he gave me the call and he was like, hey, I'm about to go to X's mom, I'm about to talk to them about this and this and that, but I want you to look at these birthdays and see, you know, these birthdays, they kind of have some of the similar same numbers as you, and the day
Mhm.
that we picked this out, you know, it's a month after your birthdays. You born October 23rd, X born January 23rd. We did the podcast on November 23rd. You know, I was like, damn.
Yeah. Holy smokes. Yeah, I gotta watch that podcast with Gary because I don't know. I think I watched like a little bit of it, but that was like right when I was learning about Gary. I didn't really know
Yeah,
anything about him, so I don't think I like fully watched that. But that seems
yeah.
like it'd be a banger.
And,
That'd be a
and
really
it,
cool guest to have too.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because a lot of people, you know, a lot of X's fans, they tend to try to bash X's mom, but it's like if you knew numerology, you would understand that the reason why the relationship between X and his mom, even the internet version of it, not even what has really happened in their life, but the reason why the internet views it like that is because they were enemy signs.
X and his mom were enemy signs. I heard Gary said it's like a karma thing, like maybe a past life you had bad karma, so your parent is an
There you
enemy.
go. Yep.
Jeez. Do you think that X's mom would be down to come on my pod? Like that'd be insane.
I don't
That'd be
know. I
brutal.
don't know. She
I'm
does.
gonna
She
try.
listen. That's the only podcast I've ever seen her do. So I
Mhm.
was actually surprised.
Yeah, that's showed to Gary for getting that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of have like a segue question. So you mentioned that you're based, you went on Fresh and Fit, and you like
Mhm.
absolutely cooked that chick. What
Mhm.
was it like being on there with Jack Dougherty? Because I remember you cooked the chick that was sitting, I'm pretty sure, right next to Jack. And
Yeah.
you know, he's like the most hated person on the internet, that little twerp. I was reading the comments. Why would you have this little twerp on your podcast? So what was that like? What did you think about Jack?
I mean, I didn't really have any like. I didn't have no favoritism towards nobody. I was like, whoever can get it, can get it. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, she was the only one that was speaking foolishness. Like, and I was like, okay, I wasn't sided. Like, I feel like even my fault is like people think I came on there to be of support to this person or this person, or this person. I'm like, listen, like I said, anybody could get it.
Mhm.
Jack at the time, like he just was saying shit that made sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why even when they said, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Pimp hoes." Like people just don't realize I was being smart everywhere. It's just the girl to the right of me was trying to save herself, you know? And then it's
Mhm.
crazy because it's like I end up talking to some of my friends in Miami. Of course, I'm connected. And then one of my friends was like, yeah, man, she's weird. Like she walked up to me and was like, hi, you know, I'm high of coke right now. And I'm like, damn, this bitch is a cokehead. Like, no wonder why you were speaking foolishness like that, you know? But it was cool to see Jack on there. It was cool to see that, you know, he understood what I was saying. Like,
Mhm.
it's cool to see that there's some people on there that are, you know, like he has something going on where he's able to make sense of, yo, like who's really high value and who's not.
Mhm. For sure. That's crazy that that chick was a cokehead. But honestly, I'm not even that surprised. Like she was, bro. When she asked you to go band for band, I'm like, what is she talking about?
Bro, my thing is like,
Brutal.
first of all, like, listen, I love all races. Listen, I really do. But right there, when she said that, it's like, girl, you've been in Miami for a little too long. You're from fucking what? New Hampshire, Boston. Talk about some band for band. So
Yeah.
easy, so you're obviously easily influenced because you're using some fucking term that ain't even fucking used at your place. You know what I'm saying? Like, they said they said she's talking band for band and she's not even black, and I was like, damn. And then it's like you trying to go band for band with like almost like dirty money for real, like money that's
Mhm.
you shouldn't be proud of. The more money you made with that, the worse it makes you look.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No, you cooked her. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching that clip with my mom, and even she was like, "Yeah, like she cooked her." So, were you nervous going on Fresh and Fit? Like, kind of break down what that whole experience is like,
yeah,
because I feel like that'd be so scary. Like, you're just in that little room. There's like 20,000 people watching you live.
yeah.
If you say something stupid, the world sees. So, like, were you nervous for that?
Yes, actually, you guys don't even know right now. I'm dealing with a fucking flu because
Ooh,
I believe, let me tell you something before I even get to that. I believe I got this flu because I was in a room with dirty bitches. That's what I truly
yeah.
believe. Like, I remember one time I went to the club and this was my first time ever going to the club and it was to support one of my friends. The next day, I'm fucking sick, feeling the same way that I'm feeling. So, number one, going into Fresh and Fit, I was nervous because I'm like, man, I'm going to stand on mine. You know what I'm saying? But like, I know how these guys can get, and if you're only seeing 1 minute clips, you're gonna think that they're just as extreme as those 1 minute clips. But when I
Mhm.
went there, they were actually pretty chill. You know, I think the most for real, like honestly, the most ignorant part of the show was the women. It was the
Yeah.
girls, and I just even want to say that like my supporters, like I feel like my supporters are even people just seeing it, women are thinking that I'm just like fuck women. And it's like I went on there to support y'all. I went on there to show up for y'all to show that not all women are doing this dumb shit and that you don't need to. You know,
Mhm.
that girl, whoever the fuck Hampshire blonde, she makes you women of high value look bad. She
Yeah.
lowers your score. She lowers your value. Because
Yeah.
then when a man is coming around thinking that you're just an easy fuck, it's not because of you sometimes. It's because of his history of all the other women. So my whole point was to show that women, not all women are like that scumbag over there who wants to go band for band. Like, that's not what the fuck this is about. Are you a wife or not? Because guess what? When it's time for you to bear a child, that child may not come out all the way right. I mean, look at how she's thinking. Who
Mhm.
knows how that child is gonna think? Who knows what kind of father that child is gonna have too? Is it gonna be one of the guys that pimp her out?
Yeah, that's brutal. I saw on Instagram though a lot of your comments were like pissed about that clip. They're like, "Oh, I expected better out of you." What do you have to say to all your followers that got upset from that clip?
First of all, listen, I love y'all, but if you cannot think 10 steps ahead, then don't worry about it. You know, a lot of people don't understand that to get a message out has to be very strategic. I mean, look at Kendrick Lamar and the message that he put out. Do you guys know how well planned and strategically done that was with numerology? Him doing Not Like Us and starting that very first diss track on 322 or 33 day. You get what I'm saying? Everything has to be done in divine timing. And when it's all said and done, you guys are gonna be like, oh damn, I knew you was da 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 da. No, you're
Yeah.
just looking at the extremities of it and just being like, damn, she switched. Just trust the process and watch what I'm doing. You know, and it's crazy because I spent years nurturing my fan base and my people to show them who I am. So it's like when I start moving a little bit left, a little bit right, just trust that I'm gonna always bring it back to the center. But in order to get a message out, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of where people are used to seeing you. You have to make
Mhm.
appearances in different places. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if Myron or Fresh would have said something that I completely didn't agree with, or you would have saw the same response. Myron
Mhm.
and Fresh were very, hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? They kept it very calm the whole way. So what did you want me to do? Just go in there and start yelling at someone? That shows no emotional control.
Yeah. I think a lot of the people that were getting angry at that clip were just like feminists. Like I saw a lot of like feminists like, "Oh, like I don't know, like those type of
And,
people that think that women like
and
freedom
it's
for a woman is sleeping around."
and it's crazy because it's like I feel like my people on Instagram really thought that they were like creating like some type of like stand against me when it was like
Mhm.
you guys not even knowing what's happening over here on Twitter. You're talking about Instagram, a couple of maybe could have lost what like 20 followers, but then on Twitter we gained almost 300 followers and had over 500,000 views.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you the truth is gonna get to where it needs to get to.
Mhm. Yeah, always. And yeah, you definitely gain more followers than you lost for sure. And the type of followers that you lost are not the type of followers that you want to have. And the type of
Exactly.
followers that you gained are the type of followers that like you for your genuine opinion. So that's what you
Exactly.
actually want.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. This is a weird question, but what's it like in their studio? Because it looks like so professional, like set up like to a T. So what's it like in
It
there?
is. It is. It is. They have, I think it's FX3s. When I saw that, I was like, damn, they had like so many FX3s everywhere. Like I was like, sheesh. It was very professional, um, very high quality. Like they had they had drinks, they had everything you need. Like it was they had a little waiting studio too. Like it was perfect. Very
Hmm.
professional, very nice. Valet, nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Showed to Fresh and Fit for sure. What do you think about Andrew Tate? Because I know Gary and Tate have had a lot of beef, but Andrew
Hmm.
Tate's kind of like the face of the red pill. So what do you think about Andrew Tate?
I think Andrew Tate is like 50%. Like I think about him like very indifferent because there are some things that he says that are just like you know what it is? It's like numbers again. He's a one. So he's a one tiger. He's the perfect person to teach you about masculinity and being
Yeah,
aggressive and being a leader. But then again, he's a tiger. So he's not going to really teach you the loyalty factor of things. He's not going to teach you those like the uncool way of being a masculine, which is holding
right,
certain things down, holding a woman down. Like he's not going to talk about he doesn't win me over in that part. I
right.
think he wins me over when it comes to how to be a leader. I
Hmm.
think he really understands what weak people look like. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But I just don't like how, the numerology shit, it's like you tried to diss it and then you tried to use it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really like that shit.
Yeah, I'm not really too like educated with what even happened. So what's the story? Like Gary gave him a reading apparently, and then like he dissed it or something.
Yeah, he gave him a reading. I mean, it came true. But like this is my problem again, like with some of these red pillars. It's like what fucking that's not a masculine thing to do. That's not a leader thing to do. Like again, we have all of these people on here who are trying to preach you a message and try to teach you about being a man and how to be an alpha man. But it's like again, just like what I said with Zherka, like you're trying to teach people how to be an alpha man to attract women and shit like that. And again, it's just you're gonna go and use your masculinity to go fuck a OnlyFans whore or fucking like it's two sides to it. You can't
Right.
just be a man that gets money in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I don't think Tate's really like that though anymore. I think when he was younger, maybe that was kind of the case, getting like a lot of chicks and stuff. But I think he's like kind of settled down a lot more, and he's definitely not going for like OnlyFans chicks. Like his message now is really more so about like being a God fearing man than like kind of more
He
like the
just
Zerka
said
type.
no. They're definitely both like Zerka because he's just like Zerka too. Because he just said this is the dumb shit I'm talking about. He just said he basically was giving a compliment to the men who have multiple baby mothers.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Like with like Elon and stuff or whatever.
Yeah, man. Like
Yeah.
my let me ask you this. Do
Hmm.
you think it's okay for someone to be a leader of a movement that is not authentic with their message or doesn't follow by what they tell you that red pill or masculine man is?
Nah, you gotta stick. You can't be a hypocrite. You gotta stick to what you say.
So let me ask you this. Is it not a hypocrite that people like Zerka would sit here and bash OnlyFans girls and make them seem like whores, but then those are the ones that he's getting most of his pleasure from and spending time with and bringing them to the house and like,
As much as I love Zerka, I could agree with you there for sure.
thank you. That's my thing. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not saying that bro's stupid or bro doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just like, bro, like you could have your way if you actually follow through.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like, we need to stop giving exceptions to people who are clearly showing us, man, this man acts fucking stupid. Like, this man acts fucking ignorant. This man cannot lead a family.
Mhm.
This man
I
would
think
choose This man would choose sex with OnlyFans over being consistent and disciplined for money. And you may be like, who would do that? I'm telling you, you had a chance to make money with your class and with your course, but instead you wanted to waste your time doing drugs with women and OnlyFans whore. This is not a speculation. This is truth.
True, but I think Tate and Zherka are very different in that regard. Like, I think Tate's a lot more true to his message in that sense than maybe Zherka.
I mean,
My mom agrees
I
with
feel
you.
like I feel like we shouldn't be having percentages. It's either you're that guy or you're not. Period. Like you want to talk about Tate. Went to Tate went to jail, pimping hoes, all OnlyFans shit, whatever the case may be. My thing is like, I think we need to see more authentic leaders in the red pill community who are exactly who they say they are on the camera, off the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
True.
I want to see a red pill leader, a high value man with a family. And again, this is why I respect Gary.
Yeah, Gary's got a very loyal wife, I'm pretty sure, so it's definitely respectable. We got my mom in the chat. She just said agree. I think my mom's a fan of yours. She agrees. But yeah, no, I can see what you're kind of saying. Of course, I gotta defend Tate because he's done. I personally think like he's a reason why the culture has shifted so much. I think he's a reason why like young men are becoming more conservative on end because he was like the first guy. Like that's like I think his father was like a 33 or something because Tate is the first guy that stood up and he's like, okay, men have to start being freaking men. And then that kind of started the ripple. And that's how I found Fresh and Fit. That's how I found like Sneeko, all those guys was through the Tate kind of
Tiger Year
ripple. Yeah, that's true too. Like he blew up in 2022. Yeah, that's crazy to think. Here's a comment. It says Gary has a Muslim wife. Women aren't allowed to marry non-Muslims in Islam. I don't know if that's true or not. Is Gary's wife Muslim? That's on Rumble, that comment.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not
Yeah,
sure about that. But I've met his wife. His wife is very, very nice. She's, very elegant. She plays her part. Like I've never, she raises the kids well. She does what a wife should do, honestly.
Absolutely. W. Gary. All right. I'm not going to lie. I've blown through a lot of these questions here. Is there anything else that like you think that we should cover in this podcast? I know for a fact we're going to end this. I'm going to be like, I'm going to instantly, as soon as I click end stream, I'm going to think of some shit I should have asked you. I just know, but I hate when my brain just starts blank and like I can't even freaking think of anything.
I mean, you're 33. You need to be able to go off the cuff.
Yeah.
Have your questions still, but you got to be able to go off the cuff. That's what takes you, 33 communicator, master communicator. That's what takes you from 3 to 33, the ability to really take over a chat and not need anybody else to bounce off of. You could keep going from subject to subject for an hour, no breaks, change up the tone, switch up the way that you say things, switch up your body language, your vocal tonality, the more you use your hands. I mean, this is something I teach. Cats are the most psychological creatures, and I'm a Scorpio. So this is what I teach. I teach people how to be able to take advantage of social dynamics. If they have social anxiety, how to be able to master that by using themselves strategically to give off a certain message.
How would you say that? How would you say that? Because you say you teach people with social anxiety how to master that. How would you say is the best way to master that then?
Social anxiety is, I would like to say, a overbuild of emotions. So when you cannot control your emotions, they start to cause you to jitter and shake, and all the nervousness is an emotion, all these different things. So it's like you have to realize that in order to master that social anxiety, it's about the work that you do when you're around no one. Are you taking the time to do the yoga? Are you taking the time to do the meditation? Are you taking the time to master the breath? Are you taking the time to create your own electromagnetic field for you to be grounded? Because if not, and even then, like when you find moments of your life that are coming to challenge you emotionally, are you learning how to maneuver that emotion, face that emotion, dissect that emotion so that way it doesn't get built up? Because the more that you deal with these emotions and you don't really subside them, they start to show up in the face. You start seeing people whose resting bitch face is here, and it's because their emotions is so trapped in the muscles and they manifest like that.
Yeah, there's a saying, what's done in the dark always comes to light. So if in private you're, you're gooning or
Crashing out.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're
yeah.
crashing out, if you're gooning, then what do you
Mhm.
think? You're gonna be confident next time
And
you go in
let
public?
me tell you that too. Even about gooning, like people don't realize that, you know, some five energy. I understood as a five, the more I spend around other good looking people, the more that's gonna rub off on me. So a lot of people wonder, why do pretty girls always hang with other pretty girls? Because more than likely they all have five energy. So what they do is they hang around each other because they only amplify each other. If you hang around a one, you're going to become more masculine, more of a leader. If you hang around a three, you're going to talk more, you're going to be more friendly. So it's also learning how to use your birthday and saying, okay, what kind of energy do I need to put myself around? This is why wealthy people always say it's about the five people that you hang around. If you're always hanging around a bunch of nines or a bunch of superficial people who are not leaders or a bunch of porn addicts, what do you think you're going to become? So gooning, it really takes away from a lot of your energy too, because guess what? You're releasing an energy towards nothing. You're releasing an energy. When I say towards nothing, I mean like not even towards a real woman.
Yeah.
Not even towards a real like, you get what I'm saying? So it is gay, kind of,
Yeah.
it's actually kind of gay.
Facts. Yeah, you're taking your life force energy that is made that you have to make a child, and you're
Yeah.
just yeah, just spreading it
To a
everywhere.
to a computer screen, like you don't understand these black screens, also these mirrors. A lot of
Yeah.
y'all are gooning in front of these mirrors.
Hmm. Yeah, it's brutal. You mentioned that you should certain numbers should hang with other numbers. What do you think is the best number for a 33 to hang with? Like, should 33s try to be around other 33s, or like what's the best?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They say iron sharpens iron, and
Hmm.
diamonds, only diamond can cut another diamond, and diamond adds up to 33. So yeah, nobody's gonna teach another 33 anything except the 33.
Damn. I mean, you're teaching me stuff right now, and you're 7.
I mean, I'm a seven. I'm supposed to teach you other stuff, but like I told you before, I have lots of 33 energy. It came from a
Yeah, true.
33. So
Mhm. Somebody in the comments says a future therapist for sure. Do you think that like you're an empath? Like, could you see yourself being a therapist potentially?
honestly, I think therapist is a different word for saying it, but my real name is Ori, and the name Ori in Africa actually means head and divine consciousness. So I feel like I'm not really a therapist. I think that I'm just a part of your consciousness that's just a reflection of what you already think. I'm just a
Mhm.
physical manifestation that can confirm. It's like, damn, how did she explain exactly what the fuck I was already thinking? I think that
Mhm.
that's really what I was saying, almost like the Oracle of Matrix.
Mhm. Absolutely. I'm just reading the comments here. My mom says, "How about an 8, lol?" Yeah, maybe because like she thinks like numerology is kind of like whatever. What could you tell her? And I guess all eights
Get
that
what's her
might be
full?
watching
We need a
this.
birthday. Get a birthday.
Ooh, what's her whole birthday? September 5th. Oh my god, I can't remember what year. Mom, what year are you born again? I know it's September 5th. So she got that 5 energy, loves to travel.
So
I
she
just
can
know
be
it's an
very
8.
indecisive. That means like she could be like, "Oh, I want to go here. I want to go here. Wait, but I want to do this. I want to do this." And then it's like she starts
Yup.
doing one thing, and then she's like, "No, I want to do this. I want to do," like she always have to be on the move. She's not the type of person that needs to stay in one place for too long, or she'll start to think that she's depressed when in reality she just needs to go out and move.
Yeah, she's indecisive too, and then she like oftentimes can't focus on 2 things at once. Like if she's shopping, I'm trying to talk to her, she'll be like completely in her own world.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah.
that's five.
And
Fives can be self-indulged too, because they're the center. If you look at the first vowel in center is E. E is the fifth letter in the alphabet. 74. So she is a tiger. So she looks very young. She's very active, very impulsive, very she can be childlike. She's not gonna really look her age. She like first thing I say is she's very impulsive. She likes to let's go, let's do this, let's do this, let's go here. What you da, 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 da. Like, very funny, will crack a lot of jokes on you. And then if you saying she's an 8 life path, that means she's about her bag. She want to make money.
Mhm,
She What I would say too is like, you're not gonna easily just tell her what to do. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to show her some type of like, why should I listen to you? You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? So that's something else I would say.
Yeah, she's definitely got that tiger in her for sure. I could definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
Kami here says 5 possessed easier. Yeah, we spoke about that earlier. That's still so brutal though. Like, what do you think is the best way to keep yourself safe from being possessed? And what do you think is like the number one thing that I guess these spirits that try to possess people look for when they try to possess? Like, what is like a green flag for like a spirit that's like, okay, let me try to enhance or take over this
Escapism.
vessel? Yeah.
Escapism, people who are always looking to escape. So if these spirits know that you're trying to escape, all I have to do is to show you a way to escape, and you're gonna try to escape, meaning drugs, alcohol, these influence. It's like you are not able to live in this life, or you're not able to handle this so much that you need something to escape.
Mm.
So drugs and alcohol for sure, and sex too.
Yeah. Do you think that weed kind of opens like portals for that? Like, do you think that I feel like anytime I've ever done anything with weed, it's always so low vibration. Like, just even the thought of weed just feels so low vibrational and just down. Like, I don't even want to like go there at
First of
all.
all, first of all, it's a lot of people don't understand that like we was once something very powerful, but
Mhm.
then you have to understand how these elites work. It's like once they see something working for these high vibrational people, they try to taint it. You know what I'm saying? So meaning that either the way that it's used could have gotten tainted. We know that there's a lot of these new strains, so that means like the real stuff you have to know somebody or have the high quality stuff for you to really have that effect. Because I don't really smoke as much, but when I used to, I could see the difference between the weed that you got from the little drug dealer from two streets away versus someone who has like a whole farm and they're raising it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference because one will have you in a low vibrational state. Some different tiers of weed actually have these lower vibrations. I
Yeah.
quit because I was like, I don't want to have to deal with having to like, is this one this, is this anymore? Like it's just
Mhm.
it got annoying. But again, I know like some of the weed that like Gary would give me, it would actually put me in this like elevated, happier state. You know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
also feel like, there's some people that just don't need it. You just don't need it. And again, there are some signs that do well with it, and there are some
Mhm.
signs that don't, like fire signs. Obviously, you might do well with some smoke. If
Really?
you're a water sign, yeah, if you're a water sign, maybe you need to be around water instead of smoke.
Yeah.
So again, it also depends on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you think that they're putting demons in the weed?
No, no, I don't think that is that they're putting demons in the weed. I think that that lower vibrational weed is just gonna open up things for people that's already there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Or
facts.
if or is that they could have other drugs like these the weeds now are starting to be sprayed. Like it may not be the weed itself, it may be
Mhm.
like the parasites and like the other things that they're spraying on it.
Yeah. I think here's a comment. I think most of the people I see taking weed are very stupid for some reason. They're very depressed and stupid. I mean, the argument that stoners will say is just like, "Oh yeah, well Elon Musk smokes weed." I mean, yes, there's definitely some people that can be functional with weed and be like high performers. Like Gary is probably another one. But majority of people, bro, they smoke weed and they become losers. Let's be real.
I agree. I agree. That's
Yeah.
because some people like listen, some people have that drive and some people don't. And the
Mhm.
weed just it's almost like money. It's green. It's just gonna amplify what you already are. And some people just like they're not there yet. They don't have that drive to get up. So and then
Mhm.
I've noticed too, like there are some people that understand that if I take any substance, I'm gonna be a loser. I need to stay sober. So it's all about what works for you.
Mhm. I agree. What is your thoughts on the law of attraction? Because just recently I did like a meditation where I was like visualizing myself holding that like 100K play button from YouTube. And I put
Mhm.
myself really in that state of like, I just made it, graduating high school, going off to Miami, just like doing my thing and living how I want to live. And yeah, I kind of just like felt like that. It was almost like it's just like ready to be grabbed. That
Mhm.
reality is just like there for the taking. So what do you think about like law of attraction, kind of like manifesting?
It's very, 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 very real. I think when I first started learning law of attraction, I think everybody kind of goes through this journey. You kind of just learn like what you are is what you attract. And that's like the very basics of it. But as I've gotten older, I started to actually learn the scientific mechanics of it and why we attract it and like why we create those experiences, why we create sickness within us. Like one person that I really enjoy listening to is Joe Dispenza. He
Mm,
really talks
yeah.
about the science of it, the
Mhm.
quantum mechanics and the brain scans. I think if you're a person that doesn't like the whole like, oh, like how to manifest, law of attraction, like the basics of what everybody, because this is how usually trends happen. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, they're gonna do the same thing with numerology. But if you really want to know the like the deep science of it, read Joe Dispenza and learn
Mhm.
about like the quantum mechanics of it, because and reality transurfing too. Those two books for real.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza, I just stumbled across one of his podcasts not too long ago, and it literally says like what you think is what will happen. Like you're putting that out there. You're changing the hormones in your body. Like people are always like,
Hmm.
"How can I boost my testosterone?" I guarantee you, you could probably think your way to high testosterone. You
He
know, just
said
like anything in life.
Joe Dispenza said that. He said that you could literally have the right diet, you could literally
Mhm.
be doing the right exercises, but if your mind is not there, it's not going to work.
Yeah, for sure. Yo, my mom in the chat says I saw him live. He was great. Mom, I asked you if you knew Joe Dispenza, and you said that you didn't. I'm pretty sure, but you saw him live, huh? Damn. Oh yeah, this is a good question too. What do you think about Carl Jung, like the psychologist? Because I know Zherka broke him down, and, like talked about him a lot. Have you heard of him, and what do you think about his work?
Yeah, honestly, I love all like I've started reading all of the because I started off with Robert Greene, but then
Mm,
I started to realize that he wasn't obviously. I started reading him in 2017. That's when I got introduced into psychology. But then I started to realize, okay, this is like the most modern version of what's going on. So I
yeah.
started getting into Carl Jung. I started getting into Niccolo Machiavelli. I started getting into Dale Carnegie. I lied. Dale Carnegie was the first at age 16.
Mm,
So I've just honestly just been move moving from book to book. I'm that kind of person where I'll move from book to book to book. And what I can say is that reading those older books, you're gonna have to read it over and over and over again. It's like every time you read it again, you get a new way of understanding it. So what I would say is like if I had to pick my favorite though, I would have to probably pick Niccolo
yeah.
Machiavelli.
Hmm. What do you think is the best way to discipline yourself to read? Because I read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and I told myself I'm gonna read this book every single year for the rest of my life. But then I just like read that one year and I just like haven't since. Like it just sitting down to read a book just feels like I don't know if I got ADHD or whatever, but it just feels like such a strain. So what do you think is the best way to kind of discipline yourself to read more?
I think you got to tell yourself, man, if I can't read this, I'm being a bitch. Like you can't, you have to like for real, talk to yourself like that sometimes because it's like, oh, you don't want to? Wow. Like this is how I
Yeah.
talk to myself. It's like, oh, wow, you don't want to read. Wow, you don't want to do the very thing that's good. Like, and it's like as you elevate, when you start looking back at what helped you elevate, you start looking at that it was exactly the thing that you don't want to do. And you have to
Mm,
tell yourself, like, if I don't want to do this, that means that this is probably going to have so much more benefit that for
mm,
me than if I did something that I do want to do. Because guess what? When you do what you don't want to do, it actually helps the amygdala and your neocortex grow. And Andrew
mm,
Huberman and David Goggins both spoke about this. So I think the more education you put around knowing why it's important to do the things that you don't want to do, the more it makes it easier because you realize that when I'm faced with a bit of resistance, this is where growth comes in.
mm. Wow, you just cooked there for sure. What do you think is like the what do you think is like the biggest benefit of reading? Like, do you think it is? Would you recommend everybody should read more? Like, do you think that really enhances your mind?
Yes, I think everybody should read more. And again, I talk about this, and I've completely branded this whole magnetism thing. So when you hear me say magnetism, this is because it's one of my core laws in it. So I believe that reading is very important, not because of just what you can learn, but You see how I'm able to explain certain things with such an intricate way of like defining it? It's because of me being able to read different languages and other tones that people explain things in. So then now I have different colors and different palettes from different books about how to explain different things. So if I want to sound mystical and psychological and sound very captivating, I would take a page out of the way that Robert Greene structures his sentences. But if I want to sound more more classic and more entrepreneurial, I'll take a step out of Dale Carnegie or what's the guy's name from Think and Grow Rich, or if I want to sound
Oh,
inspirational, Tony Robbins.
mm,
You
yeah,
know,
for
so
sure.
it's about understanding like different color. Every book is a different color that you can take from.
It's kind of like it puts you in like a certain state too, right? Like you'll read a book and then you kind of go into that state. And I
Yep.
think it is Zherka that talks about like when you're in a certain state of wanting to do something, you got to capture that energy instantly and go straight to that thing. Like for example, if I'm in a state of, oh, I want to do a podcast, well, go do a podcast, capture that energy. So I guess reading, you kind of almost capture the energy of the author in a sense.
Yeah, you could tune into that energy, and they can mentor you. A book is a form of mentorship, also.
Yeah, because you're literally downloading that person's thinking process.
But if you're really deep, like if you really have a mind on you, you'll be able to almost read pages that aren't there, because once you read that book and you've gotten yourself in that person's mind, it's almost like you can kind of understand what their views are about other things.
Yeah. For sure. What do you think about like trauma and healing that? Because like they say like something will happen to you when you're a kid, and that literally makes you the person that you become when you're like 40, 50 years old. Like you could fall off
I
the
agree.
playground, and that right there will like fragment your
Hmm.
spirit, and it'll literally change who you become. So what do you think about trauma, and do you believe in like trying to heal trauma or just like rolling with evolution?
I think that healing the trauma is a part of your hero's journey. I think that you need the trauma. You should never be like, oh, I wish I never went through this. No, you need to go through it. Trauma starts with T. T is the 20th letter in the alphabet, which will also be 11. 11 is the visionary, 11 is the master teacher, it's an old soul. And I believe that when you're able to overcome that emotional trauma, you start to heal something within the body, and then the trauma becomes a superpower.
Yeah. Because there's certain people that'll say like you shouldn't even try to heal your trauma. You should just like thug it out and basically just like that happened for a reason, and you should use that almost as like energy to just like keep making gains in your career and in
So,
your
but
life.
if you using it for a good, then that means you healed it. Because the only way you can use something for good is by overcoming it to the point that you don't even wish that it never happened. You start to say, I know why this happened and I'm glad it did. So at the end
Mm,
of the day, it's still you healing it, because it's no longer becoming a crutch or a victim mentality. It's starting to become like a chip on your shoulder that you're eating from and using.
mm. Do you think it's good to go through life with like a bit of a chip on your shoulder? Because like
Yes.
I heard that all high performers have that. Like even like it
Yes.
was like Michael Jordan or whatever had
Yep.
like such a
There
chip on his shoulder.
Michael Jordan's a cat. If you ever read the book Relentless by Tim Grover, or if you ever read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, sometimes you got to create that chip on your shoulder. Sometimes you got to, like Michael Jordan would literally create it, because you need something for something or somewhere for your darkness. And this is literally, I literally just dropped something called Black Mirror Influence. My first part of my magnetism was more like how to win people over. But this second part of like really understanding psychology is to learn how to use that shadow. And I just made a tweet about this talking about Black Mamba. You see, this is why I tell people in the spiritual community, you're not as spiritual as you think you are, because you think life is just love and light. I said, when you finally realize that everything is a war, that's when you really are spiritual. That's when you're really understanding about your bloodline and your ancestors, that your bloodline and your ancestors wasn't just like, oh, we're just gonna make flowers and shit. Nah, man, they was making swords, and they was fighting, and you know what I'm saying? They was holding down the land. Like, stop with the love and light bullshit. Learn how to control your shadow to become a beast.
Yeah, damn. Do you think that we're in a spiritual war right now?
I think this life that you live is a spiritual war. I just don't think it's an external spiritual war. I think it's an internal spiritual war.
Mm,
Every time you go through a situation, you have a choice to be the better or to be the lesser. That's the spiritual war. And the physical world is a representation of every time somebody chose the lesser or the more comfortable thing over the uncomfortable thing.
Yeah, that's what I like in Islam too. That's the thing that's most personal in Islam is it always talks about the straight path, like following the straight path, always
Mhm.
choosing to side with the godly nature as opposed to like the animalistic dark nature. And that's I guess what makes losers on the street is they just folded to their dark desires. And that's what makes the freaking winners. They were faced with
Yeah.
adversity. You have two options. You either descend or you ascend. And all the winners in society just chose a harder option of going up instead of
But you
going
know
down
what?
when they're faced with some shit.
You know, I wouldn't even say that it's people going into their darker energy. I don't even think it's about them going into the darker energy. It's about them being controlled by the dark energy and like
Mm,
not being able to use it because it's like it's not supposed to be either or you're light or you're dark. It's supposed
mhm.
to be and because the light and the dark is what makes up this realm. But the person who isn't overly light or overly dark is the one that wins. The person who is able to transmute that darkness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Can 33s do that better? Because I feel like I've been able to transmute very well, like all of the dark and light energy that I have. Like I've put a lot
honestly,
of it in
I
craft.
wouldn't say that 33s do it better. I would say 33s do it the worst. That is one of the hardest numbers to surpass. I would say that 33s they can have a really big darkness. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because of their understanding of this material realm. But when they master that darkness, and the reason why I say 33s have a lot of darkness, like, and I don't mean like they're evil. What I mean is just like they're faced with a lot. Like, let's say an 11 deals with a traumatic experience every 3 years, right? And they have to transmute every 3 years. Let's say 33s have some shit every year. You get what I'm saying? And think about how much it affects people now to transmute some shit that happened to them 15 years ago.
mm,
That's like an example of what I like an example of how I would explain it.
mhm. Do you think that 33s go through like the most tests in life?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Because I heard it was Gary or somebody told me there's a lot more nobody 33s than there are 33s that we know of. Like
Gary said that.
there's a lot of failed 33s out there.
That's a fact.
Mhm.
That's a fact.
Yeah. I gotta
33s don't
live
live
up. I
long.
gotta
33s don't live long either.
seriously.
Yeah, I mean, just do your job, and you won't have to deal with that. But most 33s really don't live too long.
You're scaring me here. I want to have a long, healthy life, inshallah.
Do what you got to do then.
hmm Yeah, because we're sent here for a mission. What do you think happens? What do you think happens to a soul if they don't complete the mission that they're sent to Earth for? Do you think
They
that's
come
hell
back.
right there?
No,
Yeah.
I think. Well, I mean, think about how it feels when you're playing a game and you keep replaying the same level over and over and over and over again. I
Yeah.
mean, to some people, it can feel like a hell.
hmm Does 33 just mean that like you've been here for a while, like you just keep failing and coming back? Is that what a
I wouldn't.
33
I
is?
wouldn't say failing. I would say that you've been leveling up in this game,
Yeah.
and you're close to a high level of enlightenment, a Christ consciousness.
And does a 33 go through like experiencing life as each number? Like, have I been a one, a two, a three, a four, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
gotcha. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Ever since I said I ran out of comments, I just went off the cuff, like you're saying.
There you
I
go.
just been spitting. Let's go.
There you go.
You motivated me to keep life in this podcast a little bit longer. So we just did another half hour there off the cuff. No
That's good.
questions on my
Exactly.
end.
That's how you do it. And keep practicing
Absolutely.
that. Keep practicing that because that's what's gonna allow you to become a great host. Like
Mm,
the fact that like some of your best questions are probably not gonna be something you written down.
mhm. Yeah, and I think the second half of this podcast was the better half too, and I just kind of freestyling. So
Also because either you set the tone or you felt the energy of the other person and you were
mhm.
able to maneuver based off of that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, I think our energy kind of worked pretty well together for this
I mean,
podcast.
cat and
Freaking,
pig.
is that friendly signs?
Yeah. Cat, pig, and
Yeah.
goat.
Okay, gotcha,
Hmm.
gotcha. Well, thank you very much for coming on this podcast. This has been a pleasure. I'm gonna watch this back for sure and try to like see if there's little things I didn't pick up on. I'd love to
Hmm.
have you on for a round two in the future when I think of
Okay.
some more questions. If you'd be down. Where could people find you? Where's all your social medias?
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, Oriana Manhurst, OrianaManHertz. And then on TikTok, I'm Styx River, IMSTYXRIVER.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Styx. I appreciate
Of
it.
course.